Welcome back to another late night episode of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where I suppose to give you a bit of update on my Binding of Isaac progress, I've now defeated Mega Satan with all the characters, so woo! Clap, 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 clap. Still got a long road ahead before I'm finish everything in that game, which is good because you want a game with substance in it, don't you? You want a game that you can chew on. But if you want to describe it in probably the most horrifying, not horrifying, but the weirdest way possible. I never really understood why that was a thing. But anyway, hello everyone. Right now I'm for Fawnhollow at 6:29 PM on Monday, August 30th, 2021. Enough to really speak of today, so we'll go about our usual business. Talking about quizzes. Yeah, there's not really much to talk about, I suppose. I mean, did some programming, played some Binding of Isaac. I suppose defeating Mega Satan sounds very strange out of context, especially because Binding of Isaac has, if you don't know what it is, you're just like, why is there so much like religious imagery, I suppose, in it? But you know, it's because it's based off that story from the Bible, I believe. I posted this FFB yesterday. I was thinking about ways I could boost my pop star profile, but I couldn't come up with anything. I've been practicing dancing, learning to sing, whatever. None of it makes me famous now. Soon to be famous, Audi. We might have had that letter before, but you know, might as well keep it. Whether that's a good or bad idea. It's KK Slider, is it? So we can actually have a KK Slider concert if we wanted to, and we probably should just do a smart laughing. But we'll round off the episode with that, I think. Methinks. But yeah, it's funny how things out of context can sound, especially with games like Binding of Isaac. It's any game which has like a much more like harsher, I suppose, vocabulary than you might be expected, or like terminology, which is, how to put it, perhaps a bit more not usual, I suppose. Now, this is the sort of point where you probably come up with examples off the top of your head, and you'd be like, oh yeah, just like this hobby, blah 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 blah, this hobby, blah 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 blah. I can't really think of any off the top of my head, and that's probably more not to do with so much my lack of awareness of hobbies, is more to do with it's hard to recall information like this off the top of your head when given such a broad net to cast. We should probably talk to Phoebe though. Wait, do we have presents? We do have presents. Well, not presents, but we have presents, kinda. We should at least chat to you. I believe that improves our friendship points. Hold on, what missions did we have? I forgot. Cut wood, get fossils, plant flower seeds. I'm trying to think if there's something like Animal Crossing related, which could be very weird taken out of context. You know, it's just things out of context, you know. Context is everything. It's like one of the, as long as it's bylaws, one of the actual laws of like conversation or something is the understanding of the assumption or context or something, isn't it? So that's one of the principles, conversation principles. I don't know, Tom's got to do a video on it. I don't record it very well, to be honest. But something along those lines. Okay, what was like the weirdest thing you could say about Animal Crossing? You know? Okay, hold on. Something to do with fossils. Certainly strange. What's that noise? Do you hear that? Or is it going? But it sounded a lot less like Yoshi and much more like something running away. Probably some insect fleeing, but I don't know what insect that would be. So probably something to do with fossils. Probably sounds very strange out of Animal Crossing context. Someone out there has probably done something even better than just fossils, because fossils aren't all that strange. So I feel like if you were saying like, oh, it was like digging up bones on the beach, people would probably just, well, I mean, that's not even that strange. I suppose if you're saying burying bones, that's a lot more confusing. I don't know, perhaps I'm not very good at finding out the sort of out of context wild sort of conversations which can stem from Animal Crossing especially. I mean, I suppose that a lot of it is kind of weird if you frame it in the context of talking to animals, you know, oh, I just talked to an elephant. Like that was kind of strange, I suppose, on its own right. But you can do better than that, because that's not strange in a shocking way, that's strange in a sort of like a, I don't know, a bit of a eccentric way, I suppose. You know, do people talk to animals? Yeah, all the time. Especially if they've got some sort of rapport. People talk to their pets. Raymond was just hiding here. I don't know why I said I'll be seeing you, but see you, Raymond, I guess. No time for conversation. People talk to their pets all the time. People talk to animals all the time. And, like, I wouldn't say I'm free from that sort of I was going to call it a sin. There's not really much of a sin. What am I doing? Do I know how to fish anymore? but like when you go to a zoo, you're just like, oh, come over here, I want to get a good look at you, or something like that. Well, actually, I guess that kind of sounds really weird out of context, doesn't it? Until you specify you're talking to like an animal at a zoo, you're being like, hello, Mr. Doggy or Mrs. Doggy or something like that, you know? Maybe I'm the only one who does that, I don't know. But talking to animals, not weird. Talking to animals about trading stocks. Oh, that's what you could certainly do, something about weird like stock prices. I mean, I feel like most of it sounds weird in the context of Animal Crossing. Like if you talk about the illegal villager black market on Animal Crossing, which is, I don't think is a thing anymore, but it was certainly for the beginning sort of few months of Animal Crossing's life. Certainly sounds strange, but it sounds even stranger in the context of Animal Crossing. So that's where like in context makes it weirder. Very uncommon, even with context or whatever. If you don't know what that black market was for villagers, is basically some villagers were so popular in this game, and cough cough Raymond, and any of them who were new to this game, like I think Renee, Raymond, Audie, what's her name? It's like Chrissy, but it's not Chrissy. No, it's not Judy. Judy? It's not Judy. Maybe it is Judy. I can't remember. And Sherb, and there's another one, but I don't remember her name. If they're new to this game, they cannot be summoned naturally through any causes, because every other village in the game you can actually invite to your island as long as you own their amiibo card, I believe. Like scanning the amiibo card on your Switch will invite them to your campsite, and you have to do that 3 times and then they'll move in or something like that. For these new ones, they don't have amiibo cards released yet. I still don't know if they got amiibo cards released. And anything is, they're kind of surprising they only released like 6 new villages or something to the newest game. Weird, huh? You would have thought it'd be like Pokemon. They're just reskins of each other in the end anyway, so you'd have thought you could go buck wild with the amount of villages you can add in. But anyway, since they couldn't be naturally found, the only ways you could find them would be through Nook Mile Island hopping and getting lucky, or trading them, quote quote, with another villager. Like if they're about to move out of someone else's island, you can invite them around as long as you had a space in your island, I believe. And then some characters, like the trading system in Animal Crossing, in New Horizons firstly, was based around Nook Mile points, I believe, or bells, I think it started off with, and then it became Nook Mile tickets, because Nook Mile tickets are a bit more worth it, because that's what you use to really hop around the island to try and find villages that you want. And most of them, I think, probably go for upwards of like 20 or so Nook Mile tickets, but these new ones at the beginning of the game were crazy expensive. Like I remember some of the forums already like sold, which is weird to say for a villager because they're kind of like anthropomorphized, personified characters. She sold for like 200 Nook Mile tickets, which was crazy. And then but you know, Audie was one of the more popular ones, but she was not as popular, I think, as Judy and Raymond. Raymond being so insanely popular because some crazy person in one auction bought him for 2,000 Nook Mile tickets, I believe. 2,000 Nook Mile tickets. That like alone printing it must take like 5 hours or something to print out using Animal Crossing is very slow. Printing mechanism, flower seeds, DIY projects, wood. Okay, we can chop some wood. How much wood would a wood chop if a wood chop could chop wood? So yeah, and as you can tell, the demand for these characters was extraordinarily high, and thus a black market, quote quote, of sorts was born in Animal Crossing, where people were trading the villagers for real life money, as it turns out, because you know what's worth more than 2,000 Nook Mile tickets? Like, I don't know, £50 or something in real life. I don't know how much they actually went for because I never looked it up, because I was like, this is just weird at this point. But yeah, it got real bad. There was, you know, a lot of fallout, a lot of scammers, as I believe it, and anytime real money starts getting involved in these sort of things, you've got to take it with a bit of caution. There's a reason we have so many sort of laws and things set up between real world trading and like buyer and seller protection, just in case like scams like this sort of thing happen. And in such an unregulated market like Animal Crossing, it's a little bit more precarious, one might say. Anyway, that happened, and then some absolute legend of a hacker was like, yo, I hate the concept of the fact that this lovely game Animal Crossing, which is just meant to chill and relax, and has people trying to exploit it in some sort of weird black market system which shouldn't exist in the first place. So what did he do? He hacked copies of like famous popular characters, mostly Raymond, into his island. So basically created like an artificial Raymond, I suppose, invited around to his island. But you see, it's not really created artificial. It's not like he made a character. It's just more like he hacked a game to make it feel like I suppose the next character he invited would be Raymond or something like that, or replace one of his villagers with Raymond or something, and then gave Raymonds out for free to people and let them invite him around, and basically flooded the entire market, completely collapsing, I'd imagine, the price of Raymonds, because I mean these Raymonds, while they may be, I suppose, hacked in quote quote, were still indistinguishable from the actual Raymonds you find in the game anyway. And I suppose lots of people, when they're playing, can't really tell the difference. I don't even think there is a difference, as far as I know. That's not... Hold on. Wait, what? Yeah, sell this. Which just led to a lot of, a big fallout, I suppose, of that whole black market system. So yeah, talking about a black market in Animal Crossing is very strange, isn't it? It feels very, not up Animal Crossing's alley. For good reason. It probably shouldn't be and should never have been in the first place, but it happened. Nowadays, I doubt any of that is still around anymore. There's probably still trades going on in Animal Crossing, but that's probably more centered on the Animal Crossing community rather than the greater gaming community, as I imagine a lot of people have probably stopped playing Animal Crossing by now. Which I must say is definitely a fault on Nintendo for not being able to capitalise on the huge influx of people that they had playing the game. The distinct lack of content definitely doesn't help. It always saddens me when I see people like posting online and be like, oh, I haven't played the game for like years now. Not yet, okay, yeah, hold on, that doesn't make sense. Haven't like played the game for like a year or half a year now or something. It's like, it's a fantastically relaxing game, but I get it, the content is rather better in this game compared to many of the previous iterations. There's not much reason to come back in every single day, and except for if you've got a reason like me, it's just you want some sort of platform to speak on for half an hour about random topics, like a history of Animal Crossing. But even that I'm not that knowledgeable on, but I suppose I'm a bit more knowledgeable than the average person, seeing as I saw it unfold, and it was absolutely wild to me as someone who plays Animal Crossing all the time. Love the series throughout, to see that sort of thing unfold. I was just like, what? How can this happen? And very much not in the Animal Crossing spirit. So I guess I'm kind of glad it's done, but... And my respect goes to the hacker who hacked in these fake Animal Crossing villages to flood the market, because the thought of a black market, I suppose, or any sort of monetary trading market in Animal Crossing really doesn't rub me the right way. It feels like it's sort of... Like, I mean, enjoy games however you want to enjoy them, I suppose, but if it definitely doesn't feel like it's in the spirit of Animal Crossing, about just relaxing, vibing, and talking with your cute animal friends. Doesn't it feel like it's sort of spoiling the gameplay? But who knows? In the end, play the game how you want to play, as long as you sort of are aware of your own consequences, and you know it's legal. But yeah, still waiting in bated breath for Animal Crossing update to come out. I'm trying to think, what else sounds really out of context in Animal Crossing? I just sold like 50 million. I sold like 20 million bells worth of sharks to... Well, see, the problem is, I was going to say I sold 20 million sharks to esports streamer Otter? Beaver? I don't even know what CJ is now, think about it. With these out of context things, surprisingly, the more animals I feel like you add into that sentence, the more it makes sense. I had a conversation with an elephant yesterday about the weather. Sounds very strange. I had a conversation with an elephant yesterday about the weather in a shop ran by a tanuki. Sounds slightly less strange, because now I suppose people start making the assumption, oh, they're not actually talking about real life, they're talking about they're probably talking about like a media thing, or a game, I suppose, if they're privy to what Animal Crossing is in the first place. So then if you'd be like, oh, you know, I sold a shark to a tanuki while chatting to an elephant about the weather, just becomes like, oh, you know, this just, you know, feels pretty normal, because it's taking place into a world where animals are as humans, I suppose. Does that make sense? I don't think I explained that properly. It's more like it's like an uncanny valley. Uncanny valley. Or you've had, but it's like the absurdity mountain or something. You've added too many things to absurdity mountain, it starts rolling down the other side back to normalcy again. Because when everything's absurd, nothing's absurd. To paraphrase Incredibles. No, what's his name? Syndrome? That sounds about right. Yeah, it's out of context. I don't know. I don't really have anything with Animal Crossing. But if this is somewhere where funnier people on the internet have definitely come up with something better than for me. I suppose improv, not often my strong point. Well, I don't know. Animal Crossing out of context. Cointext is how I spell that. It's just a load of screenshots of like weird conversations. The first one is Blabbers going, "Eek, a man," which is pretty good. You know, I think the most common thing now I look at them is when people like rename the nicknames and not nicknames. I don't think you can change nicknames. And change your catchphrases or villages to something where when it gets added onto the end of their conversation trail, it sounds very strange. Oh yeah, or they can give weird gifts. That's probably a good one to do. Like someone giving you a skeleton, saying "Don't lose us," saying "I think you lost a skeleton," something like that. Cat came up to me and returned my own skeleton to me. Cat came up to me and sold me a skeleton. Something like that. I don't know. It's not even very funny, I'm not gonna lie. It's just sort of is what it is, isn't it? And I suppose it's a very sort of long-winded way of just being like, oh, you know, context matters. For, well, I'm not gonna say everything in life. There's probably things out there which it doesn't matter for, but I can't really think of one. I'm gonna say it matters for like 90% of things in life. But again, context matters in that own sort of mini case therein. You know, don't skip it out if you don't need to. Unless you're speaking Japanese and it's implied from a conversation, what context there is. Which I haven't, so sorry, this is completely tangentially related. But a thing that you learn about when you're Japanese is how often Japanese drops things like subjects and objects of a sentence if it's already implied. Like if in English you want to say something, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm going there." But in Japanese, if it's already implied you're talking about yourself, you can just be like, "Going there," or "going," I suppose, and it's implied that you're talking about yourself. I think it's kind of neat, just, you know, a little bit of a linguistic lesson for you there. If you want to drop subjects and objects from a sentence, you're wondering which language I want to write in or communicate in, choose Japanese. You can certainly drop a lot of things out because a lot of things are implied by context. Isn't that interesting? Maybe not. That's probably one of the things which is only interesting once you know about it. It's a bit difficult to sort of conceptualise. Well, it's not that difficult. Because I suppose it happens in English as well. If someone goes up to you and say, "Oh, what are you up to?" You can be like, "Eating," instead of saying like, "Oh, I'm eating." So I guess it's not even that strange in the first place. It's just much more common in Japanese for whatever reason than other languages. Honestly, we can deal with more of that. Context is already assumed, I suppose, between the person you're talking to, and I suppose it doesn't make sense to people who are like eavesdropping in on your conversation, but that it's not normally the priority of the target of your conversations of clarity anyway, so that's probably fine. Just pop some stuff away. Suppose we can actually pick up these gifts and start giving them out. I don't know how long we've been sitting there. We'll clear out our inventory. We don't need these many things. We only need to give stuff to Apollo and Phoebe. We haven't even seen Apollo, but he's not in his home, if I recall. Although he might be. Phoebe's listening to the KK Styler concert, of which isn't any. Is my volume at the right volume? It is. Okay. Phoebe. It's a bit of a nuisance you can't give them presents when they're sitting down. It's just one of those sort of like quality of life things which don't really make any sense to me in Animal Crossing. Is because my guess is because they don't have a receiving animation for anything while they're sitting down. It's like, oh, come on. I know it's a small detail, but then like, can we get them to stand up again if they're sitting down so we can actually give them stuff? What's up, Biscuit? Yeah, I guess we're just sort of vibing, aren't we? Not very much to say about it. I guess we'll try and look around for Apollo. What mission do we want to do? hit rocks and sell fruits, I guess. Oh, we didn't get changed. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Take things slow. We have far more Nook Mile mission points than we particularly need. You know, I suppose if you're doing Animal Crossing out of context, you could. It's whenever it relates to like financial things. I suppose in Animal Crossing always sounds very weird. Like taking out a loon of a tanuki. He's gonna break your kneecaps if you don't pay it back to him. Which is not sure what happens. People have such a false idea about Tom Nook, you know. Like he's some sort of loan shark. Well, I suppose he kind of is in the earlier games, because he kind of forces you into getting the loans, right? But in the later games especially, you have a choice. 0 interest loans. Sounds like heaven. Is this heaven? Or am I looking at a bottom lyrics page? Sorry, terrible joke. Just full of non-jokes today, aren't I? Yeah, anything to do with like financial stuff always sounds weird. Like you know, trying to play the stock market, I suppose, and Animal Crossing through turnips is certainly a bit strange. I guess Animal Crossing isn't even that strange out of context. It's meant to be a bit of an abstraction of reality in the first place, so by being an abstraction of it, it's kind of got to be grounded in it a little bit. What are we going to do with all our Nook Mile points once we find fauna? We could probably have the greatest treasure hunt, I suppose, ever for fauna. 200,000 is about 100 trips to Nook. That's only 100. Are you kidding me? 200,000? Yeah, that's only... That is insane. Sorry, it just occurred to me, because that's 1/10, 1/20th of the amount of tickets I would need to outbid that person who bid 2,000 Nook Mile tickets on Raymond that one time. And that took me like quite a few months of just continue. I suppose I haven't been grinding it out per se, but it's more like I've just been doing it each and every day. That is insane. How the heck did they get 2,000? You know what they probably did? They probably did a lot of trading and stuff themselves, so they probably didn't have that all tied up in Nook Mile points. Maybe they did. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I'm maximising like the financial value I've got in Animal Crossing. Stopped that long ago. Okay, we don't need all of these. We can get rid of this. Wait, I don't know if we got a shelf speaker, so perhaps let's keep that for now. Yeah, we don't need V-ish many puzzles. I'm trying to think if there's ever a scenario in my life where like something I've been taken out of context has been taken out of context. Probably. But most of them, I'd imagine, are just sort of like inside jokes. It's kind of difficult to convey the meaning or through text. Well, not text. I'm not texting you. Through speech, I suppose. Oh, I just got a notification. Ooh, notification for one of my own videos being uploaded. Bugsnax episode 16. Which one's this one? Chili Peaks. Don't remember if that's a good one or not. Might have been fine. Ooh. Yeah, there's an interesting, absolutely not related to out of context, which I suppose is going to be the title for today's episode. But there's an interesting video made by, I believe, Rasputin. Is that his name? Can't remember. Basically, someone makes like video game essays, these sort of things about crafting systems in games, which is something that's often talked about in games. Which just made me think about Animal Crossings. He was talking about mainly why a lot of crafting systems in games are kind of terrible, and how so many of them get the balance wrong. Animal Crossing, definitely one of the perpetrators, I think, in that aspect. Animal Crossing's crafting system is, in concept, cool, but you could craft your own furniture. In execution, ends up being kind of terrible. And that's mainly the reason it's so slow paced, I suppose. What it is for the amount of things that you want to craft, and also how slow it is to obtain the things, the recipes in the first place, and how pointless, I suppose, it is in this sort of like simulation game. Crafting really works well in this sort of survival game where you had to sort of pick and choose what you want to craft to really increase the best chances of you like winning, making it through to the end. And you've got limited resources, but in Animal Crossing all resources are very plentiful. And there's no external pressure for anything. Things are just what they are, you know. You can just freely craft anything you want because I mean it's not like you're gonna participate. You can't lose in Animal Crossing, I suppose is the way I want to put it. You can't die in Animal Crossing, well, except from tarantulas and scorpions. And I think being stung by wasps twice might maybe. Nah. Maybe clipping out of bounds can still do it. I can't remember, it's been a while. I don't know, what should we do? I guess I'll put some money away for the ABD. Annoyingly, this is another one of the things, like why doesn't money just collect itself up? Why do we even have an ABD? A maximum bell pocket size anyway. It's just some of those things which are antiquated, I suppose, from previous versions of the game. I mean, it makes sense in a feasible aspect, but you know, they got rid of a credit card which we can use to buy things. So we work in a purely paper economy, just like Japan, I suppose. So perhaps that's not all that weird. Now I think about it a little bit more. Perhaps that explains a few things. But look at this. No one's gonna have to collect all of this up, click it and put it away, then do it separately for all of the values which are above 1,000. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Why is it like this? We already know Shell Speaker. Should have known. Perhaps I should have got more gift wrap, but alas, I didn't. But it is not a big deal. Why don't we listen to a KK Slider concert then? Just round off today. Been another chill day. Most days are pretty chill. And it's round 7, so surprise me, KK Slider. Let's listen to your Thankful tunes. I love that. I'll leave it up to you. Why not? Omakase. Got a stick one for us. Fantastic. And then I don't know. I guess we'll start up another collection of KK Slider songs or something. But K-Funk. Ooh. Beautiful. It's been a while since we listened to KK Slider concert. Thank you, at KK Slider. Slipped us a little thing. Can we give Phoebe a gift? Very, very quickly. before we round off this episode today. Ain't that exciting? So, I suppose if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. So join me Dear Darling Discord and follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we can see each other again, but for now it's our farewell. So until next time, sorry cake cider, but bye bye for now.